Welcome to Star Wars Week here at Capes and Tights, everybody. The next 7 days, Star Wars related things here at this comic book and pop culture podcast. And I'm ready to get started here. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. So this week we'll be joined by myself, my co-host, Adam Morissette. We'll be joined by Jabron Graham of Briar Patch Books in Bangor, Maine, as well as some other things that are going on, as well as Tony Fleeks. He is the, or Fleece, I should say, is the author of Stray Dogs, but also the artist on Star Wars Adventure. So he talks a little bit about that as well this week. So check that out this week. Star Wars Week here at Capes and Tights. Movie reviews, fun facts, interviews, general conversation this week on Capes and Tights. So follow us. Wow. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Capes and Tights Podcast, Twitter at Capes Tights Pod, Apple, Spotify, and all our major podcasting platforms, as well as capesandtights.com. But this episode, to kick off Star Wars Week here at Capes and Tights, we are going to be talking fun facts about the Star Wars universe, specifically the movie universe. Let me just get some coffee to get me started here. So Star Wars facts. So let's go over some of these things. I'm going to read through 20 of them, a little bit of descriptions of what the fun facts are about it, and we'll just rapid fire these things and then get them out there on this short kickoff episode to Star Wars Week here on Capes and Tights. So first up, we have Yoda was almost played by a monkey. According to the book, The Making of Star Wars, George Lucas originally planned for Yoda to be played by an adorable monkey wearing a mask and carrying a cane. I think they personally went the right direction here with making Yoda what he is as this alien creature, little hair, gray hair on top of his head, and so on. So next up, Ewok was never actually spoken in the original trilogy. The word Ewok is never uttered by a character in the original trilogy, although the species is identified in the script and in the closing credits. That's pretty kind of cool too. Kind of figured someone would have said Ewok somewhere in that movie, but it's not. Number 3, Boba Fett's face is actually visible in the original movies. You may think you never see Boba Fett's face in the original trilogy, but the actor who played Boba Fett, Jeremy Bulloch, did stand in for an Imperial officer at the last minute. So he's actually not Boba Fett in the movie, but you see the guy who plays Boba Fett in the movie. That's number 3. Number 4, Return of the Jedi almost had a very different ending. In the story and development session, The Return of the Jedi, George Lucas toyed with the idea after Luke removes his dying Vader's mask, or helmet, I should say. He puts it on and proclaims, "Now I am Vader," and turns to the dark side. That would have been very, 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 very different for the Star Wars universe for sure on that one. So glad that one didn't happen, but that's a fun fact to know. 5, NSYNC nearly made a cameo in Attack of the Clones. Boy band NSYNC made a cameo. Had made a cameo in Attack of the Clones. Yes, I remember writing this down. Attack of the Clones had at the request of George Lucas's daughter. However, they edited it out in the final cut. And the funny thing about this quote I found online was "Bye, bye, bye, Justin Timberlake." Kind of funny there. Number 6, depending on what movie you're watching, Yoda has a different number of toes. In The Phantom Menace, Yoda has 3 toes. But in The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Revenge of the Sith, he has 4. Those are the kind of things I think they would think about when they actually make it. Like, would there be a reference material to when they make the character, how many toes this character has, and so on? But that's weird. Number 7, Star Wars and 2001, The Space Odyssey share almost the exact same production crew. George Lucas admired Stanley Kubrick, and when he set out to make Star Wars, he hired so many people who worked on 2001: A Space Odyssey that the group was referred to as the class of 2001. Need some coffee. A lot of talking today. The Star Wars prequel used computer animation to create legions of clone troopers. No physical suit of armor was ever built for a clone trooper in the prequels. Every single clone trooper was computer animated. And we're kicking off Star Wars Week right now with this episode, but check out later in the week where we review episodes 1, 2, and 3. And during episode 2's review, we do talk about that specific fact as well. David Lynch passed on directing Jedi, Return of the Jedi. Acclaimed film director David Lynch from the movie Dune passed when George Lucas asked him to direct Return of the Jedi. Again, I think might have been a different way to think about it, because if he directed Return of the Jedi, we may have gotten different prequel trilogy sequels, or the prequel trilogy, because of the fact that maybe other directors would have continued to take over the reins for George Lucas. But we'll never know. And number 10, to start off the first half of this 20 fun facts, is Darth Vader is banned from all Star Wars events. David Prowse, the actor who portrayed Darth Vader in the form, not the voice, obviously the voice was James Earl Jones, is banned from attending official Star Wars conventions because George Lucas finds him annoying. There's also another part where he participated in a documentary that was kind of anti-George Lucas, and so that might have also attributed to his being banned from Star Wars events in the future. Pause here. Continue listening to these episodes this week for Star Wars Week. Before we get into the last 10 of these fun facts, we have reviews of episodes 1, 2, and 3, other movie reviews. We have interviews. We have other stuff going on. So check it all out this week on Capes and Tights, at Capes and Tights Podcast on Facebook and Twitter, or Instagram, I should say. Twitter is at Capes Tights Pod, and capesandtights.com. It has you connected in all different ways to everything you can get. And subscribe, rate, and review on Apple and Spotify and all your major podcasting platforms. Just wanted to get that out there. Let's get into the last half of these 20 fun facts. The sound of a TIE fighter engine is actually an elephant. The sound of a TIE fighter engine was created by combining an elephant bellow and a car driving on wet pavement, which is kind of fun. I love that kind of stuff. Those behind the scenes things are pretty cool to see. Chewbacca's voice is an electric mix of other animals. Chewbacca voices is mixed of bears, walruses, lions, badgers, and other dying animals. Dying animals. Like, I guess I can see that. Dying animals. Yeah, I can understand that. The lightsaber noises come from similar hum of an old television. The sound that a lightsaber makes is created by combining the hum of an old television picture tube and the buzz of a film projector's motor. Okay, I can see that. Number 14. Liam Neeson was actually too tall for Star Wars. The sets of The Phantom Menace were only as tall as the actors, but they didn't account for 6'4" Liam Neeson. When they had to rebuild all the door frames for Qui-Gon Jinn, I can't ever see his name, Qui-Gon Jinn, which makes it racked up an additional $150,000 in production costs. I remember that. That's pretty funny. Jabba the Hutt was originally meant to be furry. Oh, creepy, huh? Originally, Jabba the Hutt was not conceived as a slimy, grimy person. It was actually a fuzzy creature. Okay, if he wasn't as slimy, obviously, but like if he was slimy and furry, that'd be really even more grotesque, in my opinion. Number 16, Harrison Ford almost wasn't Han Solo. Burt Reynolds was among the top contenders to play Han Solo, along with Al Pacino, Jack Nicholson, and Christopher Walken. Okay, I can see maybe Burt Reynolds and maybe Jack Nicholson, but Al Pacino and Christopher Walken would have been a completely different Han Solo, in my opinion. Number 17, Han Solo almost died at the end of Return of the Jedi. Gary Kurtz, the original producer of Return of the Jedi, said that in the early story outline, Han Solo dies and the rebel forces are left in tatters, with Luke disappearing into the wilderness, but George Lucas thought that killing off the main characters would hurt toy sales. So he changed the ending to a big Ewok party. Again, makes a little sense. George Lucas and this whole movies, there were a lot of toy sales, but back in the early 80s, 70s and 80s, and even into the 90s, film and television were there to sell toys because toys is where the money was at. So it still is kind of. Number 18, there are no female fighter pilots in the original trilogy. Even though fighter pilots were in the original female fighter pilots in the original screenplay, they were removed from the final cut. It happens in movies. I don't know why they would do that, but yeah. Qui-Gon Jinn used a Gillette razor for his communicator. In episode 1, a personal communicator used by Liam Neeson was actually made from resin cast of Gillette Ladies Sensor Excel razor. That's pretty crazy. And the final fact in our list of 20 facts from the Star Wars movie universe is E.T. was in The Phantom Menace. Well, sort of. The alien race of E.T., the extraterrestrial, makes an appearance in episode 1, The Phantom Menace, officially connecting the worlds of Lucas and Spielberg sci-fi. A senator and his delegation from the planet Brodu Azagai are present in the general convocation chamber with Queen Amidala calls for a vote in no confidence. So ET's character is technically in Star Wars. That's, again, sort of. There you go. That's our 20 fun facts about the Star Wars films in the Star Wars universe to kick off Capes and Tights Star Wars Week here online in the interwebs. Check us out at Capes and Tights Podcast on Twitter. I keep on doing that. At Capes and Tights Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, at Capes and Tights Pod on Twitter, capesandtights.com, Apple, Spotify, and all your major podcasting platforms. Check us out, rate, review, and subscribe. Do all those things. And may the Force be with you this week on Star Wars Week here at Capes and Tights. Check out every single day this week for a new episode featuring Star Wars related content. And until next time, again, may the Force be with you. I'm Justin Soderberg. Peace.